where you have an officer basically around the neck area.
These two retired Vegas cops, now podcast hosts.
They don't have ID, they can't get into a hotel room. To get them the help they need, especially if someone even gets arrested. A lot of people don't know how the justice system works.
You guys have going on is necessary, it's needed.
Hey everybody, it is David Kohlmeier, the problem solver. Thanks so much for joining us. Live here in Las Vegas at Sticky Paws Studio here at 215 in Rainbow. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today we got some new purple color going on with maybe some dancers coming out soon. So
I like it.
So anyway, today we have, as usual, we have Danny Miner, the co-host, which is the problem solver co-host, and now the crime solver host for 2024.
Let me adjust this lower third.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put the crime solver up there now, right? It's going to be the crime solver and the problem solver.
We'll bring it back.
Hey, we're bringing everything together here.
Gotta do a split screen, right?
That's right.
And then we have Phil Pascal, who is the founder of Southwest Legal Marketing here in Las Vegas, but he's nationwide as well. So thanks, Phil, for joining us.
Hey, Phil.
And then we have Laura Powers. Say hi to Laura. Laura basically is our celebrity psychic that's in Las Vegas, but she goes all over the world with her psychic ability, helping a lot of people.
She's everywhere, too.
She's
she
everywhere.
travels so much. I'm jealous of her. She's always somewhere, Laura.
Yeah, I just got back last night, actually.
Yeah, oh my God.
Where were you yesterday?
I went to Tennessee, so I went to Nashville, and then I went to Memphis and
wow.
Graceland, which was really fascinating. That's
You
the
had
first time I've been to Graceland.
Elvis's house, right?
Yeah.
Was
That was
Elvis
cool.
there?
I did get a message from Elvis, yes.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's great.
What
What'd he say?
Anything you want to share with us at the Problem Solver Show?
He liked the crime solver.
There was quite a bit. One of the things he did talk about was experiencing trauma and how that really influenced him in his life. And, you know, when you come from trauma, you often recreate that in some pretty unhealthy ways. So, yeah, he was just talking about that. But it was also really impressive to be there and just see, you know, what he created. Graceland is really impressive. If you've never been, I highly recommend checking it out. And during the holidays, they deck it out with all the old school Christmas decorations that he actually owns. So it's really spectacular looking. And all the cars. So there's a part of it where you can get onto his original plane, you know, the plane that he traveled around in with all the like shag carpeting and everything. And then there's a car museum that includes all of his cars and, you know, various vehicles that he had, which is pretty cool too.
How many cars did he have? How many about?
Oh gosh, I don't know if that museum is encompassing of all the ones that he has, but there's, I would say there's at least a couple dozen.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, that's awesome. Today, what I wanted to do is for the week, basically, you know, it's the last week, you know, coming up before 2000. I'm going to confuse my year, 2024. I feel like these years, 2023.
Yeah.
It's 2023,
I feel like I'm like lost, like I'm getting too old, you know, 2022 into 2023. But I want to do more of a roundtable discussion of things that happened in 2023, and then just share our different opinion or what our thoughts are about the past for, you know, in 2023, and then what we think about it for the future in 2024, like, you know, whether it's going to be Trump or Bitcoin or real estate in Vegas. So I wanted to kind of talk about those different topics. But for one of the first things that we were following, myself and Danny being, you know, retired cops and detective, the Idaho murder that we basically been following, we've been trying to help out in regards to getting some tips and stuff like that. So, Danny, fill us in where we're at with that particular one.
I'll tell you what, the Idaho case, I don't know if you all been following it, but I could tell you this. Dave, I think you're talking about 5 weeks in now. And you know, with a murder case, if you don't solve it in the first week, the first 48 hours, it's hard to solve. So you're looking at 5 weeks here. My gut feeling, they don't have a suspect. I mean, with your experience, I mean, you were a cop all these years too. What do you think? I mean, it's 5 weeks.
It's been a long time. I did some research before I got here. They actually stated, so one of the things from the show was doing like reward money and stuff like that from the problem solver, which we did offer a $5,000 reward if they would call our particular reward hotline number, which was 1-833-TIPS-CASH. But what's interesting, I saw today, it said the police said the tips have reached 10,000 tips that have come in, but the suspect has still not been identified. So 10,000 tips. Now, I will share with you, my phone goes to an answering service. Well, we haven't received any phone calls.
Okay.
Actually, one phone call came in and got disconnected earlier today.
Okay.
Now, I know
When
in
did
Vegas,
that come in? Was it
it came in about an hour ago.
really? Because I had a phone call on my personal phone that was from that area.
So I don't really know.
Right.
But we put it out there.
How
we
did they
did
get
it.
your number?
I don't know.
So we did a news release, but the news release basically states to contact 1-833-TIPS-CASH. And I thought it'd be interesting, like if we happen to get a tip and we are a neighboring state,
Right.
but nothing's really basically come in from us in doing it. I know that it's out there. It's kind of interesting. Actually, Chase, when you get a chance, if you don't mind, if you Google, it says like reward money, the problem solver show. And I think it's a really cool picture to show where it says like who is Danny Miner and who's David Kohlmeier.
Yeah, that is.
I'm not sure if Phil or Sir. Did you see it? I think maybe
I
online.
didn't. No.
It'd be
I'll look it up.
Look it up in general. Like it's a cool image because it shows the problem solver show, and then it's basically say who are we, and then basically talks about the reward one. If we find it, we can throw it up there.
Dave, I don't know if you know. I think I told you this week since the last podcast. I had to call the FBI. Did you know that?
Did you talk about it on the show at all?
I did not talk about it on the show.
Why didn't you share the experience about that? It
Okay,
was interesting.
I came back last week. We actually had our Christmas party, right? So I'm coming back from the Christmas party. I get on my TikTok, of course, and I got so many followers that I probably get 5,000, 6,000 comments, so I usually don't see them all, okay? But there's one, and I'm not going to say what it is because that's between me and the FBI, but there was a comment that was very, very concerning on my TikTok. I mean, very concerning, that basically they were pretending to be the killer, okay? And I thought to myself, this is crazy. So I thought, let me look through the rest of my comments. So I looked through the rest of my comments, and there's more comments from this guy. So I thought, this is concerning. I mean, is this really the killer? I don't know. So I did notify the FBI. I called the tip hotline, and just so you know, if you do call the FBI, you actually talk to somebody. You're not putting it on a message or anything. I actually talked to somebody. So yeah, it was definitely very concerning. Very, very concerning.
But also, here's a question for you. I heard you mention, I think it was online, that the guy took down his profile.
Yeah, I started looking for his profile and I didn't see it then.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you think that they got to him?
I think he probably just took it down. You know what I mean? He probably thought I'm out. But like, anything on computers, it's really not taken down. If they want to find out who that guy is, they're going to find out who he is. I mean, that's for sure. But yeah, it's very concerning. And I think about this. Think if you lived in Idaho, Moscow, right? You're talking, it's a small town of 20,000 people. This isn't a huge town. Okay, this is 20,000 people that only live in this town. So everybody knows everybody. And now you might have a killer out there. Could be a serial killer. We don't know at this point. And how would you feel about your kids going to that school right now? I wouldn't let my kids go to that school.
I mean, I know there's extra policing that's out there in general like that, but
It don't matter.
I mean, anything can happen. And someone was saying, everyone should be in groups. Meanwhile, someone said, well, they were in a group when they were sleeping together, but they were sleeping. But I mean, I think they have to be really careful. I'm always big with like crime prevention.
Right.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, I mean, it kind of reminds me of these like scary movies, some crazy serial killer that's out there, and I think people need to be careful. I don't even know what the laws in Idaho carrying a firearm,
right?
Being prepared. I mean, sad to say, pepper spray and a taser would not really help the situation if a guy has a knife. And in policing, we have this like something called the 21-foot rule, where basically you have 21 feet of distance if someone was running at you with a knife that you could actually get hurt.
Yes.
And by the time you pull out your gun, you can actually get killed and stabbed. So the bottom line is, I don't know what the laws are in Idaho, but I definitely would be carrying a firearm. And out here in Las Vegas, you're allowed to carry a firearm on your hip like it's the Wild West. So, I mean, the truth is, whatever your state laws are, I mean, the truth is there could be even copycat people that are out there. And there's a lot of crazy situations that are out there, and people need to protect themselves and be more aware.
And you're talking about, they have like 46 FBI agents on this case.
Holy moly.
And no, I mean, this is shocking to me. It really is, because my guess is when this first happened, I thought they would solve this case within a couple of days, because I figured it was somebody they knew, and with kids using cell phones, text messages, kids are dumb. They put everything on the text message, voicemail, and I really thought they'd solve this case. I thought it was some kind of dispute, something like that, but I think you got to start looking outside the box on this case, is what I'm saying.
So for 2024, I'm
23. You're skipping a whole year.
I'm sorry.
Listen, did Kohlmeier do marijuana before the show?
Actually, no, I realized I'm looking at Phil's notes here because it says Trump 2024. So that's the reason why.
Yeah, blame me.
2023. Jeez. All right, so 2023. What are your thoughts if we had to go around the table here in regards to finding this killer? I mean, not that I want to say how many weeks. Do we think in 2024 that they're going to 2023.
2023.
I gotta turn this over. In 2023, do we think that they're gonna find this killer in Idaho?
I'm gonna say yes.
So what do you think? He's from Brooklyn. People from Brooklyn know these things. What do you think?
No.
They're not gonna find them?
Not at all.
Okay.
Phil may be right.
Why do you say that?
Like you said, you got what 48 hours first week.
Yeah.
After how many weeks we're at now?
You're talking 5 weeks.
We're at 5 weeks in that small town, or either he may be someone may be protecting him.
Yeah.
That could be it too.
Yep.
So maybe they don't. So part of the reason he hasn't been found out yet is because someone doesn't want him to be found out.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
If this happened in Brooklyn, would they find the guy?
Yeah,
Why?
because he'd be dead in the alley in a week. That's why.
That's crime prevention. Laura, what do you think?
I think it's a maybe. Yeah, it's a bit hazy for me when I tune into it.
Okay.
And, but I agree. I think that there may be some protection somehow of someone involved in the case or the actual killer. Yeah. So the other thing I want to mention is I'm a big advocate of those Ring cameras or, having some kind of system that takes surveillance footage, video cameras on your property. And more people are getting those. If you don't have one, I highly recommend it.
We got one, yeah.
Yeah, but I just think if more people had that, there would be more footage and everything to show different vehicles, different things that might be helpful in this case.
Yeah. Well, did you see that? They were looking for that car, right?
Yeah.
The Hyundai Elantra. They found one 8 hours away that was smashed with its license plate off. And there were such bad rumors on the internet saying, oh, this is the car, this is the car. It wasn't the car. But the internet is just spreading so many bad rumors. People start saying, oh, it's the car, there's hair in the car. It's not the car.
Well, you know the problem with the internet, right?
Right.
Everybody's an expert. Like we went from war experts to COVID experts. Now people are criminal defense attorney over certain cases. Just like, guys, just stay in your lane. No,
the internet made us all experts.
Well, here in the
I'm actually good at marketing though, so there's that. I made that, not the internet.
So here it says the police say the Hyundai Elantra found in Oregon unrelated to the case.
It is. It's unrelated.
Got it.
Has nothing to do with it. It was registered to a girl in Colorado.
I'm surprised they even found that car.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's 22,000 Hyundai Elantras in that area. 22,000. A
lot of cars.
Yes.
Okay, so hopefully with some prayers that we find this guy. Okay, here's the last question.
Yes.
What more would it take? Okay, so I was about to say Superfan Steve.
Okay.
Or Angry Steve, however we want to call him. He thinks that the $5,000 reward that we did, it's not enough money. When I did some online research, I didn't really find anyone in Idaho giving reward money. I didn't call crime stoppers. Have you seen something?
Yeah, this is what happened. The FBI and the police are asking for no rewards now. The reason they don't want rewards right now is they're getting so many leads right now. They think rewards will make false claims. Like it'll be false calls, people wanting anything just to try to get the award. So they don't want that. They've got enough leads. They said they don't want rewards right now. Honestly, that's what they're saying.
But then someone also said that they thought that the FBI would eventually do a $100,000 reward.
I believe they will. I think when they get to the point where they don't have a suspect, they're going to have to. I do. Because the parents were trying to collect for a reward and the FBI and the police told them not to.
Laura, and Phil, one of the things that we talked about with Danny, and since Danny kind of is, specializing in solving crime, being a detective that he was, I was saying it would have been great to it's far to go to Idaho. I feel like fly down there. The drive I think is 10 hours, 12 hours. The question is, what would you really do, even being a citizen journalist, as our good friend Sarah would say that we are? What would you do right now if you were personally as a citizen journalist in Idaho, in that town? Imagine if you're in front of the house. What could you really do? What more can be done?
I think what it would be good, and I would love our podcast to get like that, especially the Crime Solver podcast, where something big happens in this country and we have enough sponsorship to fly us out there. Maybe we could set up and go live from the scene. I mean, that would be really cool if we can get that big. But what I would do is, I think seeing the house is one thing, because you're looking. I don't know if you knew this, but there was 2 other kids in the house that weren't murdered.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they slept through the other 4 being murdered, and that's a lot of suspicion out there of how could they sleep through 4 people being murdered, and they didn't know about it. But we talked about they could have been drunk. They all just were at the bar. They could have kids sleep with their headphones on now.
Yep.
So they're victims too. Them kids in the bottom.
Exactly.
The police cleared them. So they have nothing to do with the case. But it's just so crazy. It's just so crazy.
How old are these kids again? The teenager, right?
What?
College students.
College kids. Okay. Yeah, and I believe they look like in their 20s.
Yeah.
Early 20s.
Yeah, early 20s, yeah.
All right, jumping to another topic in general.
Okay.
Let's just go down. We all basically took some pieces of paper and we wrote down some different topics to talk about what has taken place in 2022 and then going to 2023. Trump. Let's just talk about Trump real quickly. I know Phil loves Donald Trump. He's a supporter. He's part of the club.
Phil, did you vote for Trump?
Fuck no. Can I cuss? I'm sorry. Can I cuss?
You can curse.
Fuck no.
You could curse.
I thought I saw you at a
You
rally.
didn't see me.
Trump rally.
No, you didn't see me at fucking Trump rally. Hell no. No.
You sure you didn't have the whole hat?
No.
So, okay, so we'll start with Phil. Phil loves this topic. So, I guess here's the question: is whatever is taking place in Congress, and they did this whole investigation, and they're saying that Donald Trump should basically be like arrested for criminal activity.
He should.
In regards to the thing. He should. Okay.
He should.
So, question is, I think they're doing this specifically for him to prevent him from running in 2000. Is it 24? Right?
Yeah.
24. Yeah.
But let me chime in really quick. So let me just say this now, and I've been telling friends this for years. The person who scares me the most is DeSantis. And I've been saying that for a while. And people are like, wow. I'm like, look, everyone's like, oh, Trump 2024. I was like, if DeSantis gets reelected, which he probably will get reelected, DeSantis is a way better, more polished politician than Trump could ever hope to be. DeSantis has his shortcomings as well. DeSantis knows how to run a state. And so when you talk about certain things in terms of COVID and the whole freedom and all this stuff, I understand that. And I feel like people just kind of take these and hunker down these opinions, these sides of the wall because of COVID. But at the same time, I understand, look, I took COVID very seriously. So also at the same time, you have to protect the hospitals and you have to protect the economy. You have to protect the state economy. So I can't say what Gavin did is totally wrong because I understand his logic. But I can't say what DeSantis did is totally wrong either. Or I can't say what Brian Kemp in Georgia did was totally wrong. So if we have this thing, we give people freedom, you're free to stay the hell in the house, you're free to go party. Free to wear a mask, free not to wear a mask, do whatever. Everyone's personal decision is their personal decision.
I agree with Phil.
So if you want to go somewhere, once again, I wouldn't move to Florida, but if you wanted to go to Florida, I know people move from California to Texas, Georgia, and Florida because, hey, we want to be outside, so to speak. But once again, if you're protecting the economy, if you look, the economies of Florida economy has exploded, Texas economy has exploded, Georgia economy exploded. Also alongside that has the crime rate as well.
Right.
Because even in Atlanta, I was in Atlanta, you have to walk around with pistols. Everyone just stays strapped in Atlanta now. But,
oh my God.
Yeah, no, but a large part of that was I lived in Atlanta for 17 years. You could walk around with jewelry, all this stuff in Atlanta back in the day. That was 10 years ago when I lived there. Now you can't.
Okay.
But you have to realize something. When all these places are shut down and there's only 4 or 5 places in the country you could really go, because let's be honest, nobody's really going to South Dakota to kick it.
Right.
Unless you're a biker, which is, whatever.
Right.
So everyone went down there, like Texas, and went to Atlanta, Georgia,
right.
Miami. And so the crime rate has exploded. Now that's part of it.
Right.
But people still going out. You got things happening. So, I mean, it's interesting. But needless to say, I've never thought that if Trump doesn't end up in jail, I'm like, who's to say that Trump is the front runner?
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is anymore.
No, me neither.
No, I'm like, even before he got shellacked and all his candidates, he threw up this, especially Herschel Walker, Jesus Christ, don't let me start on him. But anyway, I've always said DeSantis is a better candidate.
Okay.
And so it's just like people that have Trump nailed on. I was like, no, I've always said 2024, depending on what Biden does, it's going to be DeSantis and Gavin.
I agree.
And I've been saying that. I've been saying that for a minute.
I would agree.
Because I don't think Kamala has done enough.
No.
But here's the thing with Kamala, though. Even Kamala, to my understanding, is a bit frustrated with her role. But at the same time, she has a step beyond that. But a lot of times when I see Kamala, she gives that weird smirk, that smile at everything, like a fucking retard. And I voted for him, But at some point you have to be personable, and I think she does a really bad job of being personable.
I agree. You got to be a people person.
Yeah,
I agree.
Now DeSantis kind of a jerk too, so he's not that much of a people person. Also, he's very arrogant. The articles I read about him, so I think his issue is going to come into when you have to go to the big donors,
right?
And you have to shake hands, and you have to like, hey, I need $5 million, I need $10 million. Trump still has an edge in that, but the way Trump has kind of just embarrassed the party at this point, especially with the midterms, I think Trump is done.
I think he's done.
And so he's done. So,
yeah, I agree.
And if he's not in jail for the millions of crimes he got against him, or he's not on trial, but I still think DeSantis is a better one. Another guy to watch out for too, Kemp out of Georgia.
Okay.
Don't discount him, because if you look at everything that happened in Georgia, look, here's my thing. I don't have a problem with conservatives. No, if you're a Republican, that's fine. I have issues.
That's good because I'm a Republican.
Well, no. Here's the thing. When you start, now here's one thing I don't like. I'm gonna preach now. This is what I don't like. When I go to somebody's Instagram profile and they have patriot in their profile, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Because that's what I'm a conservative. No, you're a Republican or Democrat, and that's fine. But also on the flip side of this too, I'm actually in the middle. Because there's some things, well, I'll leave Republican on. Some
you don't
things
sound
I'll
like
leave
you're
liberal.
in the middle, though.
I'm definitely in the middle.
I feel that you don't sound like it. I'm just gonna continue.
I'm just saying Trump is a jackass. That's all. He deserves to be in prison.
No, I agree with you on that. Just some other things you said. Maybe
I get confused with the whole Trump thing because I understand the whole Democrat Republican. They want to go after the guy, and the question is, you're not really there. What was he doing? What was he not?
He's
doing?
a jerk, though, man. Let's be real, though.
I mean, the truth, it's a very hard position.
Trump,
the guy's
you're talking about Trump
president.
still?
Yeah,
He's a total assaulter. I mean, for that reason alone, I'm like, I do not understand, a lot of the support for him.
But I agree with
such a history of sexual
Listen,
assault.
here's the thing. What Laura said, I think Trump has no chance of ever winning an election again.
Don't say that now.
Because of that, I don't. I really don't. I think as a Republican, I would want DeSantis. That's my before Trump.
Most people, or excuse me, I should say that differently. A lot of people, even Republicans, pretty hardcore, are not supporting Trump anymore because of COVID,
right? And
because he still was supporting, the vaccine and rules and all that.
And he tried to overthrow the government.
That too. I'm just saying that for some people, that particular issue is extremely important.
But hold on. Let me ask you guys as cops.
Okay.
Let me ask you guys a situation. So how can Trump come out and say back to blue and all this stuff, whatever, and talk about law enforcement president when he literally tried to overthrow the election and 2 weeks ago, say he wants to abolish the Constitution?
Yeah, I didn't like that he said that.
But here's the thing, though. So let's talk about January 6th for a minute. He wants to sit up here and say, I didn't do anything. You summoned people to D.C. on January 6th to stop the steal vote. I was a month before that happened. I was talking to my buddy. I'm like, why is Trump having I'm like, what's January 6th? I'm like, January 6th is the day they ratify the elections, unless it's on the weekend when they do it that Tuesday. Don't ask me how I remember that, but it's something in history class. I just remember that. So anyway, I'm like, wait a minute. This guy's going to have people storm the Capitol. It's not going to happen. This guy has literally incited and encouraging people to storm state capitals all summer long.
Right.
It's the natural progression of everything. So I don't know who was shocked by January 6th. People I'm like, dude, they're going to storm the Capitol. I knew this was happening.
You seem like you know an awful lot of stuff. You sure you're not working behind the scenes? Huh? You're not working behind the scenes? You seem like you don't know an awful lot.
Behind the scenes what? I read a lot.
All right, so then what's your vision for 2024?
He said Gavin against DeSantis.
Gavin and DeSantis.
I'm going to say
against
the same.
each other.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the same.
All depends what Biden does.
Biden's, there's no way he's going to run
I just feel like
again.
he's too old.
He's too old.
Yeah.
He's already saying some things that he might, which
I can't believe it.
It's just kind of incredible to me.
Phil, you can't. I know you're a Democrat, but he's horrible.
Well, he's not horrible. He's just old. That's all it is.
Well, I agree with you there.
But once again, the Democrats are dealing with the same situation that the Republicans were dealing with, and it's like basically Republicans had a power vacuum. And Trump kind of went in that season. I told a buddy about Trump going to win 2016, mainly because people don't fairly and unfairly. People don't like Hillary, and you have to look at America. The average man in America does not want a white woman as president. A black woman first all day, but definitely not a white woman, because that upsets the hierarchy and societal upsets the order of society.
Okay.
And that's real. People can say what they want about not being defensive.
No, it's true. I mean, so I used to be highly involved in politics. My master's degree is in political science. I was an elected official, an appointed official, very involved. And I was shocked, in the Obama election, 2008, just how much anti-Hillary emotion there was. But and for some people, it's because of the Clintons. They just don't like the Clintons, and I understand that. But I did feel a lot of it was just anti-female, like at that level. And the fact that, we had a black president before we had a female president, I think says a lot. Yeah,
because let's be clear, Hillary has probably been the most qualified person to run for president that didn't win.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
By far, so.
Okay, jumping topics. FTX and Bitcoin. Who really knows Bitcoin? Phil, are you Bitcoin? You got some Bitcoin in your pocket or what?
No, I know Bitcoin.
I bought Bitcoin before.
I know more than the average, I'll say that.
Okay. So I'm not, I guess the biggest thing is the guy who was the founder of FTX, right?
Yeah.
He basically, the big news I think it was 2 weeks ago is that he was arrested in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
He was on suicide watch in jail. and I guess they were bringing him back to the States. I know he was on TV doing an interview, basically stating that he's not sure or whatever. He kind of was like a funny, doofy looking guy with a lot of money. A situation, a lot of people lost a lot of money, and they're going after a lot of these celebrities, right? That basically were endorsing him.
He stole a lot of money.
Okay. I guess the big thing is that they take the money and they go to the Bahamas, which I just happened to be there last week. I didn't go to the banks to check on the money situation, but it seems like people take money, right, and they go to the Bahamas. Somehow the banking is like the Swiss bank accounts. But anyway, Phil.
Yes.
FTX, this guy, any thoughts? Your wisdom. You read a lot, you study a lot.
Okay, so...
An intelligent, good-looking guy.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So I was watching the interview with Jordan Belfort with Wall Street. And so his whole thing was, I mean, because once I actually started reading up on it, I'm like, wait a minute, how could these people get got so badly? Because it wasn't very sophisticated at all. But once again, he had the name rights for the Miami arena. He had celebrity, he had Brady, he had Steph Curry, who had everybody with him. And I don't really think you should go after celebrities. They just came there. I don't think they had investments. They put a little money into it.
But the celebrity endorsement definitely helped bring in.
Oh yeah, definitely. Got it. So that's smart business on his end.
Unless unless it was a conspiracy.
Everything is not a conspiracy, guys.
No, if there was.
But not for the sub. You think I'm not a Brady fan. You think Brady got to do this to make money?
I think he's got his own legal issue with some type of nonprofit or something.
I don't know.
How much have you heard about that?
Well, I haven't heard about that. So. But not, anyway, so FTX is funny, and the fact that this kid just stole people money and pretty much lived this lavish lifestyle on other people's dollars. That's what's messed up about it. And for him to be on suicide watch and like, oh, well, I want vegan fare in jail. It's like, dude, you stole like if you stole $2 billion.
But it seems like this FTX situation threw all the Bitcoin, all of these Bitcoins into like this, what's the word?
Flux.
Yeah, I mean, just the whole it's like going downhill. And we've had some people on here that talked about Bitcoin. Even we had the Bitcoin Whisperer, which is one of the podcasts that are here at Sticky Buzz. I haven't spoken to him recently about it, but I mean, it's really, really low. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes you don't want to miss out. I mean, people that have bought Bitcoin at, $1 or $5, right? I mean, they made money. Sometimes you don't know when to get into something. Yeah. So I don't really know the future. But bottom line is, future of Bitcoin, people would say it can go up to $1 million. Right now, I think it's at $15,000 per Bitcoin.
Get there one day.
What?
I think it'll get there one day. I don't think Bitcoin is dead. I don't think the cryptos are dead because we're moving to a digital world, and so you need a currency that can facilitate that. So that's why I'm still kind of bullish on crypto. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Bitcoin is going to be the one first.
We're at $16,806. So it'll be interesting. Yeah. Like every quarter, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, we'll look back at this video to see where we are for 2023 to see where we're at. But like I said, when it was at 30,000, I was like telling my wife, "Oh, we should put slowly put money in." Some people just want to put like $100 a month into cryptocurrency. But I'd be upset if I lost money. But
you only lose it when you pull it out. That's always the thing to remember with crypto.
With the Bitcoin Whisperer, when he was here, he was saying if every person had 2/3 of one Bitcoin, that they would be worth a lot of money in the future. So they're saying like for your children, each one should have not even. I thought it was an interesting strategy. It wasn't even like one Bitcoin. It was 2/3 of one Bitcoin. So technically, right now, right, maybe 10, 12 grand. That would be your investment, and then just hold on to it. Yeah. And I actually thought it would be really cool because I got 3 kids. Like I would have, like one Bitcoin for each one, just to see what would happen for the future for the kids. Of course, that's an investment anyway. So bottom line is, you don't really follow Bitcoin, do you?
I just use it for my poker sites.
Because that's the way
that deposit money, into my.
So how much Bitcoin do you have that you have to use it?
What I do is I would just put like $100 in there, and then it's easier to transfer to because the poker sites are like in Costa Rica and all that stuff, so it's easier for me to transfer the money. Using your bank, sometimes the bank will flag it, so it's better to use Bitcoin. I'm just being honest.
So Laura, if I call you up and I want a psychic reading, can I pay you in Bitcoin?
Do you have
that yet?
I actually am open to that. Yeah, there's, you can pay and do transfer and receive in a lot of different platforms that people already have. So yeah, if you're on, Coinbase or something like that, and we can totally work that out.
Have you ever had someone want to do that?
I have not. I have received payment for other things via crypto, not for my psychic work specifically, though I'm open to it. Although I did have some psychic clients that were early hedge fund investors that had invested early in Bitcoin. And so I was in that world pretty early on where, they had invested when it was like, pennies.
Yeah, could you imagine going back in time and just
You
buying
would
for a
be
dollar?
like multiple millionaire having, you could have, if you bought early on, it was like $10, ended up being like $58 million.
Yeah.
My buddy has a bunch of Bitcoin. He has
Yeah.
a bunch of it.
Okay, moving topics. Vegas real estate market. I'm not sure if any of you guys follow real estate in Vegas. Phil, what are your thoughts?
I just want my 10 to 15% reduction. That's all I want. I'm looking like I'm getting this, so I'm happy about that. I don't want the world to burn. I just want everything to regress a little bit so I can get in the market. That's all.
So I know somebody who purchased a house when it was probably kind of the tip of the market over the last year. Yeah. But it just goes to show you when the government gets involved in like raising the whole interest rate, how things are changing because homes are like about 50 grand, 70, depending on what home is going down, which is kind of just scary how when the government gets involved, which concerns me like with the Bitcoin, right? If they get involved in the currency, changing things up in general. But it does make me nervous. I think that it may flatten out a little bit, but I don't think it's going to like go really, really. It's not going to drop $300,000.
I don't think it's going to be 2018 was a bad year here, I think. I don't think it's going to be 2008, right?
Yeah, that's what it was.
And I'll share with you one thing that's interesting. So in 2009, I bought my first home, and it was a foreclosure at the time. The home was $360 at one time. I got it for $260. I always remember, and you'll laugh at this. I was sitting on the toilet bowl and saying, "Wow, I saved $100,000." I'm sitting on the toilet bowl thinking about this. Like I saved $100,000. Now, when the market changed again, it went down to $160. I said, "Oh my God, I lost $100,000." Same toilet bowl.
Right.
I lost $100,000. I lost $100,000. Right. And I was like, wow, you're like, wow, but it's just paper, right? But you owe the money. And one thing I'll share with you is very interesting. When you have, it's called mortgage insurance, if you basically have if you pay down like 20% or something, you normally can call the bank and say, hey, can I get rid of my mortgage insurance? And what happens is if your home drops, you can't do that. Most people think like, oh, I'll pay down 20, 30%. I call the bank and say, get rid of mortgage insurance, even though things have changed over time with that. But what happens is I tried to do that, but the home was only worth $160 at the time. Oh. I thought it would be from the loan amount.
Right.
So it goes to show you really need to be educated when you're using mortgages or these different things. Things are always changing. And there's also different strategies behind certain mortgage products that you're buying or from one bank and so on. But I will share with you one thing of my tip for anybody in 2023. I've bought few homes, what we call owner will carry, or seller financing, and I'm not sure if people know about it, but in Vegas or anywhere, you can buy a home from somebody that owns it free and clear. I happened to buy a home. Guy was very wealthy of the family. He was a builder in Hawaii, and I negotiated a deal where he became my bank, and I basically did a deal for 20 years at 4%, and I gave him 4% down. And, the joke is instead of Bank of America, the last name, let's just say was Johnson, Mr. Johnson, that was $5 down, because he actually had a home on my street as well. He became my bank, and his wife would be walking his little doggies. And I said, oh, by the way, that's my bank, because people that own it can give you a loan, and it is in your name. It's not lease option. It's not rent to own.
That's actually cool.
But it's called seller financing or owner will carry. And, we have realtors that work here that basically, for the problem solving our network, that can help people with that. Most people just don't know how it works. I've done them. I can even share the knowledge with it. We actually, a few friends of the family, we've shared with it. So it is a real thing. It means that if your credit is bad or whatever your situation is, you're not going through a real bank. And you don't have to pay mortgage insurance as well, which costs extra money.
But what if you stop paying the guy? That's the only thing.
He can foreclose and you take them back. Now, luckily in this state,
because there's some kind of contract, right? I'm assuming.
It's a contract.
Right.
You go through a title company.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, actually, on my document at the time, and I'll share a funny story with you. On the document, it says their name, and there's a loan servicing company that I pay, which is called U.S. Loan Servicing, which is locally here in Vegas, and there's different companies. I pay them; they pay the actual guy, and he lived 5 doors down from my my current home. So, what's interesting is it can be done. Just a lot of people don't know about it, and if there's realtors involved, it's okay as well. They can be realtors, or if you own a home and it's free and clear, I could just do a deal with you. We sign a contract. We go through a title company. It's like a regular deal. The difference with it is it's not a regular bank.
Right.
Okay.
So
and then people then have a monthly income coming in for themselves. It's a good deal for them.
On your credit then?
There's a way of actually doing it. I don't know if I've ever done it.
I'm just curious.
No, it's a great question.
Yeah.
There's a way of doing it. Now, what's interesting is the interest rate was 4%. When the rates went lower, people were like at 2.5 or 3.
Right.
So here's a good question for you. How do I get that rate lower? Like, when people talk about refinancing.
Yeah.
How would I refinance my home? Right? Normal people go to the bank
Right.
and they try to refinance and do paper, whatever. Well, technically, I sent an email to the owner. Right,
Okay.
to the guy,
Ask him.
to the bank. I said,
Can we-
hey, the rate's right now about 2.5. Can you refi my rate, right? And he wrote back, no. I said that I can go to the bank now and go get like 2.5%.
Right.
And I said, why would you not want to do it? And he wrote back, no. And he goes, cash me out in the email, which means that he's like, go to the bank, go get the money, cash me out. Because he was making 4% on the money, but he didn't want to make 2.5%. So he's like, cash me out. So we were fortunate. I was able to refinance and get it at 2.5, and he got cashed out.
Okay.
So, like I said, it was interesting because, like, I always say this question: how do you refi from a guy with his family and his, his
Right.
wife with the 2 dogs? You just asked the guy, and if he said yeah, you just change the paperwork.
But that's actually a good strategy now I think about it. That's a really good strategy because you have time to get your credit, give it like
Absolutely.
you're 2 years. You have time.
Yes.
Because you're in a home, you're more stable, you have everything going on. So you're a better homeowner, guess down the road.
Well,
Yes.
probably also,
So-
I didn't personally do it, but there is a way of doing it with the whole credit thing. So
Yeah.
your credit could get better because you're making payments
Yeah.
monthly.
Yeah.
And even if the interest rate's higher, the goal with real estate, and this one thing I tell people, it's about the acquisition. You could always change the rate. You can buy it. You can sell it.
Exactly.
You can lease it. You could rent it. There's so many things you do with real estate, which you can't do with Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, what do? You buy it and you hold it. And you're
There's-
hoping and praying that somebody, doesn't screw up the whole market like the FTX guy.
There are more and more options, though. In fact, there's Coin Homes, which is a relatively new platform where you can basically use your Bitcoin as collateral for a home. And so they even have on their website basically homes that are for sale using the crypto. And you don't, the difference is you don't sell it. It's just collateralized, just like, you have something else as collateral. So if it accrues, money, if it gains in value, then you haven't sold it at that lower value.
The biggest thing is if someone wants to buy a home, you shouldn't just listen to what's on, the news. The whole purpose is that there's different programs, different people.
Yeah.
Now, even though in our network we have mortgage agents, real estate, we have different people that help people if they have a problem. But don't just put your head in the sand. Find out what products. Like a lot of people don't know about own and will carry self-financing. Have you ever heard about it today before me?
I have, but it's something I want to learn more about.
That's a big thing in Georgia.
Yeah. So I mean, the truth is, a lot of people aren't educated about it, and the truth is, most realtors they would still make money by selling the home,
But they don't
they're not
get it.
educated about it, and it is more rare. It's not as easy. And even when one realtor that I use, I told her, look, I'm going to teach you the strategy for me. What if we do a deal? And within 3 weeks, she found it. And I said, okay, I want to do another one, right? And she says to me, well, that one's like a fluke, it's like a unicorn. I said, look, you're a brand new realtor. We just closed on a home. I just purchased a home with you. Why would you be so negative? I said, I'll find another realtor. It's not a big deal. You don't have to do it. But anyway, so for Vegas market, I think the key is get with a mortgage agent. Don't listen to rumors. Don't listen to the news. If you need a home, actually, here's the $1 million question. If you pay rent, what is the percent of your interest rate? What is the interest rate technically if you rent a place compared to if you buy a place and the interest rate's 4%, 5, 6, or 7? What's the technical interest rate if you rent a home for $2,000? It's 100%. Because it's going into the garbage. It's 100%.
I was like, what do you mean it's not a loan?
I said it's like an interest rate, right? Because when you pay interest for a home and people say it's high, it's 6 or 7. When you rent, it's 100%. All that money goes to the garbage.
That's true.
It's true.
So it's something to think about, which is a little bit different kind of thought process with that. All right, moving on with real estate. Tupac Shakur, we offered a reward. What was it again? 26-year anniversary? I already forgot. I'm getting old here. My gray hair's coming out. 26-year anniversary. We offered a reward. A bunch of these came in. Nothing really came from it in general. A lot of conspiracy theories. Tupac Shakur, since
Why are you looking at me asking about Tupac?
Phil's from Brooklyn, so I mean he's got to have intel. He's from Brooklyn. You grew up there.
Do you think they'll ever solve
So
it, right?
Biggie,
Tupac got shot here in Vegas, though.
exactly. So I was gonna say
Right in front of Ellis Island.
Biggie Smalls and Tupac. What's your thoughts in regards to these guys? Alive, dead, future? What? Give
Oh,
us
they
a
both dead as
breakdown.
fried chicken. They're both dead.
They're both dead.
They're both dead.
You sure?
Positive.
Okay.
Yeah, as the psychic, I feel the same.
They're both
Do you think
dead?
they'll ever solve it? I say no.
I don't think. Well, oh, Jesus.
I mean, he got shot on Colville and Flamingo.
I was just over there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so there's a guy who speaks out on YouTube a lot, right?
Okay.
I can't think of his name right now. He was Puffy's bodyguard.
Okay.
And so he says a lot of stuff about how the situation, how tenuous, how dangerous it was for Biggie to be in L.A. And he always stressed how Biggie never left the house. He never left the hotel in L.A. I think he did the radio show, with Big Boy Radio, and he went shopping one day. He got a tattoo with the whole picture with Shaq, whatever, and that was it.
Okay.
So Puffy basically made him come out. But then there's certain things about Biggie deal where Biggie signed his publishing over to Puffy, but then Biggie started another publishing company. So
Okay.
all the stuff he was writing for Lil Kim and all the Dream Mafia, all that stuff, and there are people that said Puff was very upset about that.
Okay.
So I think he told I can't remember the actual. I want to say 200,000, 250,000. I can't quite remember. But that's a big thing. If I see my publishing, I'm writing songs for everybody else, I'm supposed to get a cut of that also.
Yeah.
And so there were certain things that basically, I think the guy Gene, Big Gene, he basically said that Puff really didn't mind Biggie dying,
Okay.
and that's coming from his mouth. So it's like, but.
We had a guy that called it. He wants to come on the show. He's saying like it's very interesting as a reverend.
You're not going to play that song, are you?
Actually,
Don't play that song. Oh, my God.
No, it was a different guy. He wants to come on the show to talk about Biggie and Tupac, and I think he was a reverend. He was saying he's like I don't know. Bottom line is, you're saying they're both deceased.
They're both deceased.
So, and if you had to say who killed Tupac, what are your thoughts?
I think Pac's situation gets a little more murkier. I think Tupac, the death, Biggie is a bit more straightforward, even though it's still kind of cloudy. Tupac is just like, you don't know if it was Suge Knight. I mean, it could have been a myriad of people that killed Tupac.
But Suge Knight was with him that night.
Now, here's the crazy thing about it, though. People have said that Suge was involved in it. And so what's the one thing about Tupac getting shot? If you guys had an issue, right? If you wrote,
We always have issues.
I mean,
You're saying he wouldn't be in the car with him.
what I mean, here's the thing.
Normally.
Like you have to have a lot of faith in the shooter you put on somebody to be that close to them and think that they won't hit you.
Yes.
It's a good one.
Yes.
Like you got to be like a sniper. Like is this guy like an ex-Marine or a Navy SEAL or something? Like I wouldn't just trust that with no hood dude. Well, he's a good shot. Yeah, but he's not like
I mean, as long as he's going, he's in the passenger seat. You're basically just going up to the passenger seat. But it seemed like it was more.
They
of like
stopped
an
at a red
angle.
light, right?
Yeah.
They shot him at the
I
red
mean,
light.
So I think that if you the guy's there, you just do a few shots. Just don't shoot the guy next
9
to you.
shots,
12 shots, right?
7, 9 shots, whatever. Yeah, no. Like,
Do you know what he said to the cop, right?
what?
The cop that found him shot, right? Tupac?
What?
His last words were the cop came up to him and said, "Who did this to you?" And this is truth. This is honest, 100%. He looked at him and said, "Fuck you."
Well,
He wouldn't tell who did it. So he said it to the cop twice.
Do you know a guy named Fuck You? He must be an Asian guy.
could be.
No? All right. So in regards to Biggie, I already forgot the whole Biggie situation. How did he got shot as well?
He got shot in L.A., but I think that situation more so with
Coming out of the elevator or something?
No. He got shot coming out the Soul Train Awards
Yeah.
at the Peterson article.
Oh, the car, right? He was
Yeah,
in the
the
car too.
Soul Train Awards. Yeah, so he got shot, and just everything with that, just because like once again, he had a lack of security, and so when you highlight that, you got Big out there with one shooter, with one security guard, knowing you got all the L.A. after you, and so it's a derelict of duty, and I feel like Puffy is responsible for that to a certain degree.
By not having enough security.
Yeah.
I guess here's the one thing is that it goes to show that all these like you just, I don't know if it's a helicopter or something like that, but you can't be in a car. Like Tupac and Biggie, right? They're in a car when they get shot and killed. Like there's got to be a better way of getting out of the air. You know where the people are leaving, which way
or
they're
get
going.
a car that has that
Bulletproof.
Yeah.
glass. Yeah.
Dave, you saying the
Or
elevator?
get a bodyguard. How about that? Get a bodyguard.
I guess the
find
elevator
an
was where
off-duty cop.
Tupac got shot.
Yes, he got shot before. Did you know that?
Yeah, but he was.
He got shot 6 times in an elevator and lived.
That's where he thought it was like Biggie's
Yeah.
people,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I always remember the documentary.
That
on
was
one.
more Haitian stuff.
But here's a question: all these rappers in general, and I forgot because I was on TV asked about it. What's the guy that was in the chicken place where in LA he got killed with his
Oh, you talking
girlfriend?
about the guy from Philly, P&B Rock?
I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, it just seems like all these guys are getting killed. I mean, it just once you
Well, here's the thing.
jealousy.
No, well, jealousy. Well, here's one
Money?
thing. The takeoff situation for Migos, that one is particularly disturbing because there are supposed to be some people that's supposed to be protecting them.
It
And
seemed like a weird spot that he was. I mean, not that there's anyone being in the
it was a
chicken
private
place.
party, so I mean,
Oh, it was a private party?
Yeah, I don't
I
want to
didn't know
get too much into it, but to my understanding, you're around people that you're supposed to be protected. Now with the P&B Rock situation, that's one of those situations where you have to be mindful of what you're doing because
She was on Instagram posting what
she
she got.
was in, date night, whatever, and that poor girl got killed for that, and that's kind of unfair.
Oh,
but-
she got killed too, right?
No, she didn't get killed. No, she got killed. The internet killed her for that.
Because she posted where she was at.
Yeah, and the
Got it.
locale and everything. And, but I feel like that's a bit unfair to her. But at the same time, I think you got to be mindful. Like, people are starving, the streets are starving, people are crazy, people not really doing really well right now. So I just think you can't be out there just shining and wearing just flossing when people are starving, especially in LA, because LA is not the city for that. Not at all.
I feel like that's a movie or a show. Streets are starving. The streets are starving.
No, streets are tough right now. People are hurt.
People need money.
People are hurting from COVID. People
Yeah,
still
but
hurting.
do you think that he got killed because of the money, because the jewelry? That's what they.
I think that was. I think that.
more of a robbery?
Yeah, that was robbery. I think that was legit robbery.
I think that item. I think it should be so hard to sell because it was like very distinguished what he had. What was it? It was a necklace.
You still melt it down. People like that.
People are still buying them melted down or something.
I've never done that before, so I don't make.
How
it
does
sound
that
good.
work? Tell us how you did that when you were in Brooklyn. I'm joking. I worked as a cop in Brooklyn, so I'm joking with Brooklyn. Okay. Who else we got here? Kanye West. Anyone want to jump into that one?
Going down. Even more
He's
so.
going down.
Yeah,
I agree.
He's already
I agree.
gone
I
down
guess
a lot,
2023.
but-
Like, what's going on with this guy? Did he do it for real? Is
He
it
do
just
what
to get
for
out
real?
of, did he just want to get out of contracts?
Kanye is not a genius, and I'm so sick and tired of people saying this shit. It's annoying.
Seems like
he's
a smart
not.
guy.
He's not a genius. He's.
We better be careful if we leave Sticky Pie Studio. Make sure that we watch our back as we leave here today.
Why?
Now we're all this conversation here.
Oh,
We
so-
have to go out the back door.
I'm not going back anywhere.
There's
I
lots of
wouldn't.
people talking about Kanye, so I
Yeah.
We're talking about
If we-
Tupac. We're talking about Biggie.
Yeah.
All right. So what are your thoughts?
My thing
Phil's
was,
the expert today.
I'm not an expert. I just think Kanye is a pompous. First, let me say this right now. Kanye is the only black man in America that gets away with mental illness. The only one. And that's bullshit. Kanye is a pompous jackass. He's not a genius. And he's on, well, I was off my meds. No. Then he had the nerve to say, well, 2 weeks ago, that he's actually mildly autistic. You know how offensive that is to people that have children that are really autistic?
Right.
So he makes everything about him. He's a self-serving prick. He's a jackass. He doesn't care about black people. He has this thing with white acceptance that is just beyond me. From Trump to the whole Nick, the white supremacist guy, and Milos and all these guys. And it's not wokeness. It's not free thinking because it's bullshit. Really quick, I'm going to go off topic real quick. There's a guy here, but I hate the woke stuff too. I also hate cancel culture. I explain that. There's a guy here in Vegas, right, who was telling everybody, wake up, let's get free, right? This particular guy had a business, and the business kind of went south, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. It happens to the best of us. Next thing you know, this guy is selling tie-dye yoga mats at what's the shit, the colorful shit in the desert. Where everybody take the kids at?
Oh, the Rocks.
The Rocks, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's at the Rocks, well, selling tie-dye yoga mats.
He's selling stuff at the Rocks.
Yeah.
Hey, that's an idea.
And
I'm set up a stand.
I'm not gonna say his name. So
Who's this guy? Who's
I'm not gonna say his name.
But he's just a regular guy.
People watching this probably know who it is. So
Okay.
he ain't gonna beat my ass no way. So there's that. So needless to say, next time.
Creative.
I mean, seriously though. So next
Danny's
time.
going out there with cheaper price mats.
I'm gonna go
You
out with a
should.
camera, take your picture in front of the Rocks.
No, it was
Put
a
it on
thing.
a shirt.
It was a thing though. It was like people going out there. He was like, I'm getting one with Earth and all this stuff and all this other bullshit. Anyway, so I kind of, I'm not really on Facebook that much. So next time I go on Facebook, he's like, hey, I found God and all this stuff, whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. I hit the like button, no big deal. All right, that's what's up. I believe everybody should find God. Now the church he was going to is a whole different story. It was like, he posted this whole thing like, yeah, I'm getting baptized. Vamps on Sahara?
You who?
Vamps. Yeah. It's
So,
it's
like
a restaurant.
Yeah,
used
bar.
to be,
Yeah, rock
used
bar.
to be at TJ Fridays, I think.
Yeah. So one day I go on Facebook Live. This is on Facebook. I'm like, he's going live. And he was like, yeah, I'm giving my life to Christ. And he's getting baptized in the kiddie pool in the parking lot of Vamps. I can't make this up. That's how I view Kanye West. But all this stuff when people, okay, so back to Kanye. All these things.
So do you believe he's mentally ill?
He's a jackass, but I think he is mentally ill.
So when he says these crazy things, you believe that he's off his meds? Does he take meds?
No, but I don't care if he's on his meds or not. He should have a handler. Because let's be real about the stuff Kanye does. All the Pete Davidson stuff, all the Skeet stuff, all the stuff. Remember early in the year when him and Kim first had a divorce, when he was going back to her house with black roses? The hearse was a hearse with black roses?
I remember that.
I'm like, look, you guys are going through a divorce. That is technically harassment.
Mm-hmm.
Laura,
and the kids are still there, so it's like horrible for
Laura,
them.
if me and Laura was dating, and I did that, my black ass would be under the jail, and we all know it.
What do you have, a hearse with black roses?
You remember talking about when she was dating Skeet, Pete Davidson, calling him Skeet, and telling him I'm gonna have killers after you and all this stuff. Is that not harassment?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but Kanye gets away with it, and it's like no, because it's not a situation. Whereas in the whole DEF CON, because So it's not the Kyrie Irving situation where he retweeted the whole thing regarding the Jews. Because to that movie, there's some truth to that. It just, anytime you talk about Jews and talk about the Holocaust didn't exist, that's ridiculous. Yeah. So all your credibility is gone. If you talk about blacks being original Jews, that's true. Original Hebrews, that's true. That's history. You can't argue with that. Now come to America, I understand Jews in America have to take umbrage with that, and that's fine. But that's the truth. Now the fact that Kyrie caught so much smoke, and Amazon didn't get any smoke behind that is BS to me. Because I was at my buddy's house in Atlanta, I was finishing up some work. My other buddy came over like, hey, have you seen this? And I was like, what's the premise of it? He Googled it. I was like, oh, it's the whole black Hebrew thing. But I was like, Hebrew Israelites from back in Brooklyn. That's what they're more focused on. So not to say they're wrong, but it's just when you start to discount the Holocaust, that's when everything goes left. Because we all know the Holocaust happened.
Exactly.
That's like saying slavery didn't happen. Like, come on, guys, like, you guys being ridiculous now.
I agree.
But when you go that far, that's it's extremely offensive and extremely insensitive and assaulting. But my thing is that, because I looked at it, my boy tried to order, it was like $24. 2 days later, I finally had time to watch it. It was like $64. So Amazon was profiting all this stuff. All Kyrie did was share the tweet. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that was fair. Now, back to Kanye talking about going DEFCON 3 on the Jews and all this stuff, and he wants to get out his deals. And Kanye talking about, well, the people that shocked me when they dropped Kanye was Adidas. Because you know the history of Adidas, right? Founded by the Nazi,
German, right?
Yeah, the Nazi family. I mean,
I never knew the whole story, but it's
they come from the Nazi party. And so when Kanye said that, and we all know Germans to this day still have a little bit of limit towards Jews. It's historical, it's to be expected. So when Kanye said Adidas not going to drop me, I was actually shocked when Adidas dropped him.
I think this is a comeuppance of like so long. He's just been getting away with it for so long. Like I literally for years and years have been like, how is he kind of allowed to continue? And how he treated Taylor Swift and
that was
she was
bad.
I think she was a teenager. She was very young to have
that was have
someone do something like that to you. In a public sphere like that.
But here's a question for you, like for Tupac and Biggie, like what makes him so different for him not to be shot or killed because of all the stuff that he does? Like, I mean, he doesn't get arrested. Aren't people jealous of him as well? Or his bodyguard situation? I mean, people, would people want to be after him, or they like him, so he's more liked by the people?
Okay, so Kanye is a little bit different. Kanye is not really street. He never portrayed himself to be street. He's from Chicago, but he's
not a rapper or anything either.
No, he's a rapper, no. But I mean, but he's not.
Technically, right?
Because his mom was a professor, right?
Yeah, his mom.
So he came from like an educated,
So that's
kind of
why,
protected
like, he wasn't
background.
from the street, and then he's not like flaunting his street like credibility on the street.
But no, if you think about Kanye, he really never really wears jewelry. He's not flashy. Like Kanye's like a middle class. He's like a middle class black dude. Not middle class, but I would say
he's walking around just like an average Joe.
Yeah, like
I've seen him
Right.
Yeah, he dresses not crazy, but the burlap and all that nonsense. But there's a different way how you carry yourself. Where you can never say Kanye carries himself like a nip, or carries himself. He would take off a bad example of that too. So you can't really say that.
He's not walking around like like he's walking around just talking smack.
No,
he's not really like dressing the part of like having all this jewelry on, and he's just like the average guy walking like black jeans and black shirt.
But he just talk. If you look at Kanye, he just talks shit about other rich people. If people got that much money, like, man, I got time to kill this dude. I'm not Kanye, you're not even worth it.
Okay, let's jump a few more topics. We have about 10 minutes left. Russia and Ukraine for 2023. What are your thoughts? Still going. War still goes on. Another 12 months.
I think it's going to get
keep sending
worse.
weapons. I guess the biggest thing over there in Russia, in Ukraine, is that it seems like America will eventually give, what do you call it, the same thing in Israel where they have the missiles to shoot down the missiles that come in. Yeah. It seems like America will actually supply that type of defense equipment to basically help Ukraine. But basically, it keeps on continuing and nothing really changes. Thoughts about that, anybody?
Yeah, I think it's going to continue. It's probably going to get
Doesn't
worse
seem like
for a while.
anything changing.
I think
no,
it's done.
like nuclear stuff like that. What do you think? Nuclear?
I think it's done.
Which part?
If you go, so you literally have Duda, Polish president, literally chomping at the bit. And what's the King of the Hill? With the meme, the dad on King of the Hill, where someone was like, Duda was basically like with a shotgun, like, I just want to talk to him. That truck on the put, like, I just want to talk to him. Mm-hmm. There's no way Russia can win this war. They're using their own citizens as cannon fodder. I tell a friend of mine all the time, I'll be actually shocked Putin's in power in February or March. Mm-hmm. I think this war ends when Putin dies, and I think it's going to happen sooner or later.
I don't know about you, but I grew up thinking the Russian army was strong. I mean, I think we found out they're not. I mean, they're fighting a country that's the size of just one of our states. Am I right?
Yeah,
and they can't beat them.
No, but
Yeah, they have a lot of really old, outdated equipment.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's
Well,
coming
now
up.
they're getting from America, right? They're getting all this equipment.
Oh yeah, Ukraine is. Yes, I agree
No,
with that.
I was talking
yeah.
about Russia though. Russia's equipment's really old.
Yeah.
Too.
yeah, it's bad. It's like real bad, like Soviet stuff, and you just. So Putin had this whole Iron Man image. If you ask me ask anybody before February 22nd, 2022, what's the second best military in the world? And we just kind of assumed in America, or the Russian military. And you guys really thought y'all would take Kyiv in 3 days?
Yeah.
And so now we have a situation now where it's exposed where at least China knows we're not ready for the U.S.
Right.
I mean, they know that. So that's
Right.
why they're not really pushing for that. So that's why we still have the economic. I think we're in World War III with China right now, but it's just economic. And it's not going to get militarily for years down the road. But the way Russia getting their ass kicked by Ukraine, and then you have to realize something. Ukraine's been preparing for this day for years.
Right.
So it's almost the same situation with Taiwan. Everyone just assume that, China would take Taiwan, but if you're a country and you constantly have this looming threat of another country attacking you, you're prepared yourself, your arms to the teeth.
Right.
And seeing some of that Russian equipment in Ukraine, and I mean, you got the Ukrainian farmers like taking tanks or tractors and all that stuff.
Right.
So it's crazy. It's
definitely crazy times.
yeah.
Real quickly, Laura, tell us your, I know that you're familiar with LA and all the stuff going on, people getting, arrested and going to jail for, like this, what do you call the entertainment guru guy? What's his name?
Weinstein, is that what you're talking about? Okay.
What are your thoughts for the future with celebrities and like for 2000? It just seems like a lot more in 2023 will come out with other people like being charged and so on. What's your quick take on that?
Yeah, I think there's just going to be continued fallout, and I think there's still going to be some kind of old Hollywood darlings or whatever, people that are well known, where more stuff starts to come out about them. And it's a really hard thing being in the entertainment industry as an actress and model myself. It's really hard that to come out when other people aren't talking about certain things, and so I think certain people have still been and are being protected, and I think we're going to continue to see more names. I still really why are the names not coming out to you about Ghislaine Maxwell, and that whole group? Because there's still a lot of people that, they're protected. And I feel like, the people that are the harassers and assaulters within Hollywood, a lot of them go another level. And there's also, going into trafficking. So, yeah, I'm wanting this to come forward, but at the same time, it's always really painful for everybody to process it. So.
Exactly.
But it needs to come to light. So.
It just seems like there will be other ones that come to light. And
Absolutely.
I think it's kind of interesting with all these things in general. Anything else? So I know I appreciate you sharing your.
Should we make predictions on 2023?
Yeah, you got anything?
I don't know. Go ahead, you go first, Phil.
Wow.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up with any type of prediction that you may have to share. We'll wrap it up with that. Anything in regards to 2023, what you think is going to happen?
In terms of
Anything.
You got to give me a baseline, buddy.
Anything, like a big prediction. Like politics.
It's a tough one.
Celebrity,
I'm thinking about
something.
it as I'm asking you in general. I don't really know. I think it's gonna be a kind of a crazy year with just a lot of little things going on with the economy and
if you're talking
anything in general.
If you're talking about the economy, I think things are gonna get a lot worse than they are now.
I just think crime will be increased. I think people need to protect themselves more. I think people need to kind of sad to say, they need to protect their families. You can't always just kind of think you're going to call 911 and get the police within a few minutes. Sad to say, not saying law enforcement is doing a bad job, but just that I think there's an increase in crime. There's less cops in the street.
We're understaffed, like what, 60%? Something, is that right?
That's what I heard.
That's what we say in general. I mean, every state's a little bit different, but I just think that, it's just tougher times and still, it's just weird times. I mean, I definitely don't feel like it's the same,
Well, from that point of view, I'm definitely happy we have Kevin in there now.
Oh, for Las Vegas here for the new show.
Good Metro. I like Kevin.
He seems good. I've seen him spoke. I actually wanted to get him on here. It may be much harder now because now he'll wind up taking, being a new sheriff.
I like Kevin a lot. I think he's
big with the community.
That's good.
He's big with the
That's
community.
good.
But that's one thing because I for one blame our governor-elect. Not that I was a fan of the other governor that much either, but at any rate, I blame my governor-elect for the guy being paralyzed Shea. Because the way a lot of these politicians, these police departments, a lot of these sheriffs and police chiefs handle the Black Lives Matter protests, there's a way you can handle that better. At some point, you have to bring a softer tone. You can't tell if I tell you Black Lives Matter, you tell me Blue Lives Matter. That's bullshit. Because first of all, cops are not fucking Smurfs. Let's just start there. But sometimes you have to have someone like, hey guys, we feel the pain, we understand what's going on. Let's talk about it. And I feel like instead of hunkering down and just back to blue, Kevin would have done a way better job. Like, hey guys, let's come to the table, and I think Kevin wants to do stuff for the homeless, and he's really been on community policing, and I like that, and that's just the way we need to get. And I feel like that's a better way to kind of.
Where have you seen him speak? Have you seen him?
Hmm?
Have you seen him speak? I'm surprised that you're talking. Have you seen him or?
Yeah, I know Kevin. Helped him campaign.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's great.
I like him. He's cool.
Yeah.
Pappas is a different story though.
Like I said, I've seen him speak in general. I mean, I hope that some good things come with it. I mean, the bottom is if you have a few different strategies, you can really make a difference in the community.
He's a great guy.
Danny, anything else? 2023.
No, I'm with you. Crime's going to continue to increase because we're going to have less cops. There's less people wanting to be cops. I go back to my old police department. They have a Dauphin County police test in Pennsylvania, and you could take this test, and you can be elected to any police department. It's one test for a bunch of police departments. They usually would get like 700-800 applicants. They got 30.
Wow. I mean,
They
I
got
honestly don't
30.
blame people.
No one wants to be a cop anymore. Nobody.
kinda sad.
And I don't blame them. Would you be a cop now? Let's be honest.
No, I mean,
There's no way. I would never do it again.
I still have, it was great time.
You go to jail.
People, but these days, the whole, qualified immunity, for yourself, God forbid that something happens, it's a mistake, a true mistake, and then I wind up going to prison for 100 years.
Never.
That scares me in general.
Never.
Like I said, as long as it's on the up and up, if you did something shady or you did something wrong, that's a different story. So yeah, I'm concerned about the year. Like I said, politics and crime and a lot of reforms that are taking place. I'm just kind of like uncertain of what's going to happen. But I will say that we will continue in the Problem Solver to keep trying to help solve problems and talk about these different issues, bring things to attention. We will have the Crime Solver with Danny basically hosting in 2023 of another podcast talking about the Crime Solver.
We'll have you on, Phil. You're a good guest.
But the key with
I can't
it is,
solve crimes, though.
but I will share with you one more time. The goal of it really is to get tips and information and have the community help solve these types of crimes because we always say that crime is not just a police problem; it's a community problem, and we need people to share tips. With Danny being the host of the Crime Solver, and the show will be offering reward money. We will have different sponsors. We're going to have different lawyers in the community here to help sponsor and give money for reward money in order to basically try to solve crime. Have different law enforcement come on the show if they have different open cases, missing children, whatever we can do to basically help through the Crime Solver will be that thing. And we will continue here as the Problem Solver, as to help solve problems and talk about different issues. Like I said, even if we talk about one thing, could you imagine a lot of people don't even know about, we talked about, the real estate. Mm-hmm. If you learned a little bit about it, right, you can go buy a home. That's solving a problem. People think they have bad credit, can't go buy a home. That's not true. There's a lot of strategies that are out there and you need to get the information. So
I do have a prediction. I do have a prediction.
I do too.
Last thing-
Here's my prediction.
prediction, then we're done.
I predict we're getting our show. And I know we can't talk about it, but we're getting our show. That's my prediction.
There we go.
You will see
Right.
more of the Problem Solver and Crime Solver. I promise you that.
Amen.
And
To TV near you.
that yours is a lot more fun. Mine
Okay.
is I predict that there's going to need to be a lot more focus on mental health in this country. There's been
Absolutely.
so many suicides, and
Exactly.
I see this, continuing, unfortunately. So, everyone to learn more about this topic, and because when one suicide happens, it makes the people around them a lot more likely to commit suicide.
Also, the last thing is that we are starting from Power 88. You're familiar with Power
yeah.
88, right? The radio station,
Yeah,
Power 88?
okay, yeah.
What's your take on Power 88 real quickly? You're probably more knowledgeable than I am.
I'm not very knowledgeable. I'm familiar with it.
Because it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But anyway, we will be on Wednesdays at 10:30 for 30 minutes, and then we're going to be asking the community if they have a problem, they can call in, and we're going to talk about the problems, specifically Danny and myself, and then we can have different guests that come on as well. So anyway, that's going to be for 2023. Anything else? I missed something?
No, we're good.
We're good. Okay, great. Well, I appreciate all the TikTok followers that are following us here with Danny Miner, the Crime Solver, and the Miracle as well. And then again, I hope everybody has, safe 2023. We got a whole year. And then be careful about Trump 2024. And then the bottom line is be careful, be safe. The bottom line is be careful out there because especially right now, the holiday season, going into New Year's, a lot more people are driving under the influence. They're driving under a controlled substance, sad to say. So we want people to be careful, especially for New Year's. There will, the one thing I can predict, which is very sad, knock on wood, it doesn't happen to any of our listeners, anyone out there, there will be DUI deaths, on New Year's Eve, guaranteed in Las Vegas. We're going to hear stories about it. We could prevent it, whether you're staying at home or have a designated driver or just leave your car there, take an Uber, Lyft, or take a hotel room or something like that. And we will actually help out people as well. If they need a ride, and one of the things we do at the Problem Solver for New Year's is that if someone needs a ride, they can call 702-999-1111, and we'll basically send an Uber Lyft to take someone home. If they're wasted or they're drunk, I don't want them to drive a car, we will offer free, car service for Uber and Lyft to take someone home. They call the problem solver number, not including Phil, because Phil likes Uber too much. He can't call him. Phil's like, I need a ride. But anyway, thanks so much for joining us, the problem solver. We will see you on...
I was going to call the hotline to get home.
We'll see you in 2023. Please be safe. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great night.